Red Flags In Fandom?
Yeah, they're coming in.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're out there waiting without a display. That's okay. If the guy shows
Folks for the red flags?
Yeah, red flags, come in. Send them in. Well, he's counting. I was not doing that.
Howdy. We're gonna go old school until we get some tech support for our display. And we got a camera recording, but it's recording us, so don't worry about it, Aaron. Well, I can turn the camera on you if you want. Oh, look at that. There you go. Hooray!
He was very depressed because there was no one
Nobody's
in the
showing up for the
room.
panel. Oh, they're all waiting in line for me, for us. Yay!
Very depressed. He even has red flags.
Yeah.
So
Now you have to forgive me. I'll be talking a lot. Dave, kick in whatever you want. But I want to get through the points. And is it 12 o'clock? Can we start?
Yep.
Awesome. Hi. Dave, you want to start? You want me to start? What do you want?
sure. I'm Dave. What's that? I did start in AnimeCon back in the 90s, and I ran it for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of scammers and flammers and grifters and pedos and weirdos and predators. And you know how to fix the TV, Shane? Yeah. And you know, a little experience with that, with seeing the term predator. I think is.
I think there are some predatory things we can discuss that.
Anyway, this is a public service to try to stop these people dead in their tracks.
Or do what we can, at least warn about them. Thank you. My name is Walter Schultz. You got a hand up?
I ran here previously, and I know how to fix a TV.
Oh, please.
Well, we're sending
We got
the
tech
signal.
support coming in.
We're
trying to
sending
send
the signal from the laptop.
Yeah, we'll turn it on.
Yes.
And then, well, that's kind of hard.
I mean,
But we were trying the inputs and everything wasn't cooperating.
yeah.
There was different inputs we were trying. So we'll let the actual staff come in and do their thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I followed along coming here previously, and my solution was to take it out and plug it back in.
We tried.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
sorry.
That's okay, no, thanks for the effort. So, my name is Walter Schultz. A lot of people know me as Sid. I have been involved at Toronto Fandom since 1994 when I was a teenager with hair. And I used to help run security, and I was one of the emergency responders for a whole lot of stuff that, in my own backyard, there's some really unfortunate things. So, which leads me to say this, some general housekeeping. We're trying to do a Q&A afterwards, but if you think of if something is specific in your mind, we're trying to avoid specific names of people, even though I've got plenty of evidence to back up and name stuff. We're not here about naming names. We're here about naming situations.
Legally, we are not going to name any names,
I mean-
except for people that have been convicted and are in jail.
And if you really want to, you can go online and see all the stuff that I've revealed. Don't worry, I've covered all my bases, but out of respect for the venue and respect for everyone involved, again, it's not about naming names. We're talking about the situations that arise, the problems that lead to one thing after another that could be avoided if we saw the red flags. And even in my own backyard, unbelievable amount of stuff that's happened. So we condensed it into a little. If you ever,
You can just turn the screen around.
yeah. Well, kind of hard. But long story short, you ever hear of WHMIS? Workplace hazards. Talk about toxic elements in the environment. If by no mistake, I've got the same hashtagging around these very toxic items, which we'll get to real quickly. This was originally an hour-long presentation. I'm going to put my part as quickly as possible in 20 minutes. This guy's going to chime in as well. But I also want to dedicate this particular presentation to my friend Keith Arsenault. Some people may remember him. Him and his brother Keith and Gary would put on the dance here at Anime North, and he was instrumental in helping with public safety for many, many, many years, even before I got started. So I just want to just want to remember him, and a really wonderful person that is dearly missed. Him and I worked together in public safety for Toronto Track and Polaris for many years. And let's get right into it. The topics. We're at the top. Deception, questionable activities, threats and manipulation, personal attacks and hostility, questionable social media content, spec work and for exposure. Oh yeah, I have a feeling there's a few people who had experience with that. Groupthink and lack of oversight, and last but definitely not least, in bold, boundaries. So, oh, got somebody messaging me. Thank you. Getting right off the top here, deception. We all lie. It's a fact of life. Usually we feel really bad about it. That's what good people do. We try to think about, okay, you know what? I try to avoid a bad situation. I'm just gonna just a white little lie, you know. Okay, but normally we feel bad about it. Try not to do it again and again. Unfortunately, there are people that just cannot make understand that difference. And the two elements that make deception so stand out in fandom is the repetitive nature. That's repetitive at going, okay, I made a mistake. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. But you'll, unfortunately, if you see someone who just keeps on telling you one lie after another, and it's happened in conventions and in my own backyard, like you wouldn't believe.
Well, you know, the conventions, fandom, there's fandom all over the country, all over the North America, all over the world. People move through fandom, they grift a certain group of people. Those people know, hey, that guy's bad news. They move on to another group of people, they grift that group of people, they move on to another, you know, there's a constant influx of new people coming into fandom. So that's a constant influx of, I don't want to say victims, but cabbage picking opportunities for these people. And this is, you know, a common scam is like, I'm going to publish your book, I need an advance, or, you know, vanity press type stuff. I'm going to buy your commission artwork from you, never pay, or I'm going to take a commission from you for artwork that I'm never going to produce. You know, those two. And the terrible part about fandom, this kind of scam, it's so low rent. If you were going to break the law, rob a bank. Like, make it worth your while, is what I'm saying.
Unfortunately, there's also the element where they find what, fandom is wonderful. It's the reason why I've been doing it for, I'll be 30 years this July. You've been doing it maybe a little bit longer. Collectively, you're talking about 60 plus years of experience here. But unfortunately, there is that element that just comes in and uses people, and just when you try to get a straight answer, you just can't and get an answer, and you get the deception happening where it's you try to get a straight answer, and they lie and they lie again.
I feel like when you become an adult, you kind of need to develop a bullshit detector.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And a lot of people just, you don't have it, you trust everyone, you sort of, it's a convention, you have this element of trust, we're all here for the same thing, we're all in fandom, fandom's a big family. And how many people here are in families, like actual families, that have zero problems? Yeah, right? It's not a lot.
No, very few. And the other part that's really a tell on deception, we can talk about how to detect deception. Unfortunately, if that was true, we'd be able to solve every crime. It's not going to, unfortunately, the unfortunate reality is we have to stick with how people react to having their deceptions caught. That's the other element about deception, where how people react. Oh, just ask the crowd, jump out. When you caught someone doing something they shouldn't be doing, how did they react to it? Just shout it out. Anyone? Right. Go for it.
Oh. I was gonna say, tell someone, like a staff.
Well, that's fine. That's great, but what's that?
They usually react to rage.
Rage? You mean like personal attacks and hostility? Kind of interesting how it happens here.
I've had them pretend it suddenly it was a joke.
Oh, it's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank, bro. Don't you? Oh, that's thank you. How about silence? Yeah. That's usually the end game, and I can, if I had more time, I can go into details. You can go on YouTube, type in Red Flags In Fandom, you'll see the original panel that I did, and I go in a little more detail. But you notice how the reactions to the deception. You try to get a straight answer, and how it's end up being threats and manipulation. Some people putting some online doesn't really make sense. So, you know, personal attacks and hostility, the reactions to deception. I'm going a little bit long here, but that's the big part that really combines a lot of these elements that we have to deal with in fandom.
If it doesn't pass the smell test, if someone is doing something you think is hinky, and you're like, why are you doing this nutty thing? And either, you know, well, my aunt's brother-in-law's car broke down, and I know
there's always a story. Everyone's got a story,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, yeah. Like I said, like you said, the smell test. Thank you. If it smells like shit, you're probably going to step in it, and it's going to carry a stink around with you, right?
You know,
by the way, we should have a mature rating on this panel here. Come on in, folks.
I will say one thing about fandom is after a while if you go to conventions, you know people, you'll realize there's person A who's always got a plan, he's always got an exciting scheme he's trying to work on, never quite comes to fruition.
But does again and again.
You see him in 6 months. What happened to that plan you were working on? Oh, I'm doing a great new thing now. That didn't work out. I'm doing this great new thing now. 6 months later, oh, that one didn't work out. I'm working on a great new thing now.
How many examples have we seen of that?
Fans with plans.
Oh boy. Hey, it's great to have a plan, but if you're going to take someone's money, at least own up
Once
to.
money gets involved, yeah.
It's a really scary thing. So going a little bit long on deception, but that's something that keys into a lot of what we're going to talk about today, and then what leads into questionable activities. Really, that's all, like you said, the financial aspect. Unfortunately, I can't display it. We were waiting on tech support. I pressed buttons I wasn't supposed to, and here we have a big blue screen.
All your fault.
I know, blame me. Anyway.
Look, we're not getting paid for this, guys.
like Dave said, this is a public service, and I'm having trouble sitting down, so I'm just going to stand here. But long story short, there's actually 2 examples in my own backyard of questionable activities. Just doesn't make sense where it leads into it blends in with the deception, but the questionable activity is saying, hey, that doesn't really make sense. What are you trying to pull there? In March 2017, a convention put out a GoFundMe saying, we need money for insurance and maintenance fees, or else we can't run the show. Oh, okay, who here says that's a big red flag?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, because what was really happening was the local government was funding everything the years before, that year, and years after. Somewhere along the way, the organizers decided to say, hey, we need $2,500 for insurance and maintenance fees to pay, or else we can't run the show, and targeted their own volunteers, as well as the general public. Yeah, in my own backyard. And then another organization in my own backyard was advertising a convention at a location that no longer existed.
Invisible convention.
Invisible convention. It's like an invisible sandwich, right?
No, I'm not going to say.
Mobile.
I'm not. I will freely admit I have created fake convention flyers for fake conventions that were advertised being at deliberately fake addresses.
Right, but you're not
But
collecting
that was
money.
a joke.
It was a joke. You're not
Literally a
collecting
joke.
money on it. This
Did not take any
organization
money.
was taking prepayments for a convention with a bunch of wrestlers and sports stars. Hey, we're all going to be at this location at such and such date. Come on in, find some space. We're going to have this convention happening at this particular location. What really was happening was they posted the name of the hotel that had changed, and the owners of the convention had been told, and they knew that the convention had actually been canceled by the venue, and they were still advertising for people to show up at a hotel that had thus been changed names. I don't know about you folks,
Well,
but
hotels do change names.
they do
but-
change names.
I mean, we're in the Delta, which used to be
Okay. However, if you're saying, hey, come to such and such place, I would hopefully make sure I've got the right name posted to show where to go. Well, this organization apparently did it again because celebrities came forward from having it happen to them a decade ago. So, like you said, the cyclical nature.
I will say a lot of conventions are started by people that have no clue what they are getting into. And a lot of the detailed stuff, they just assume it'll just take care of itself. Like, no, someone has to do
Firefest.
Firefest kind of thing. The Firefest sort of thing happens every year in every town because some fan with a plan says, we should have a convention. And I mean, you can see from what you see right now at Anime North, if you say we're having an Anime Con or Comic Con or whatever, you're going to get a lot of people showing up just because they like that environment. Like the Comic Con convention feel is a wonderful place to be. It's why we're here.
And there is that element because here I love the community. So again, we've been doing it for years, and we've only been recently conversing. In fact, we began our actual one-on-one conversations by a half-chance comment on Twitter, and I even screenshotted the private text that we had from each other of coming up with the idea of this panel. And now here we are. So Twitter actually did something good.
Twitter is a force for good in the world.
Twitter is evil incarnate.
But it actually
Except for this.
it got us in touch with each other, so it has a little bit of help. It did a little bit. It did a little bit.
A villain actually doing something nice.
Yeah. But then again, too, it was already going before someone started screwing it up. I can't wait to get out. But long story short, when you're seeing those questionable activities, you notice how there was an element of fraud there, okay? It's hard to say, like you mentioned earlier, we're not going to mention names because of convictions, but I'm from an investigation background with business continuity and insurance, and I'll tell you straight up, a lot of fraud. There's so much fraud that never gets convicted. It's so difficult. It's so difficult sometimes just to build a case of fraud. Show of hands. How many people here have had a fraudulent charge from a financial institution, like PayPal or your bank, a charge on your credit card, something like that didn't exist, okay? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Keeping your hands up, did you have to, was it cleared without you having to pay into it afterwards?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't
Well,
lose
you know,
financially,
yeah.
right? It was solved without you losing money. That's all because of fraud not getting, thank you. That's all because of fraud not being convicted. It's so easy just to write it off.
Go to anyone and say, well, I lost $39. They're like, $39.
Yeah,
Chalk it up to experience.
Chalk it up to experience, but 39 from hundreds of people, that's a lot of money in your pocket, right?
You know,
And
this is I was in high school with a guy who was like, I'm gonna start a convention. He had people showing up to that hotel on that day, and the hotel's like, we don't know what you're talking about.
and he ran away with the money. And it happens
No,
again.
he didn't get any.
He didn't get any money?
He didn't get any money out
Well,
of
that's
it.
good. Well, at least there's that.
No.
Okay, but again, if you can't get a straight answer, you've seen the deception, you've seen those questionable activities. No legitimate operation can be undone with one phone call, one email, or one social media post. I made one social media post, and it turns out that people did get the warning. Unfortunately, some people didn't. People drove up all the way from Buffalo and other places across the border to go to this convention that was never going to happen, and I feel so horrible for them, but I tried my part to warn them off. Let's move on to threats and manipulation. How many people, please, show of hands, have had someone say to them, oh, you better take that down, I'm going to call my lawyer. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, come on in.
Scare tactic.
Cool. Blue screen of death, are you here to fix this?
Yes.
You look very technical.
We're plugged into HDMI 1.
Yeah, we pressed buttons and things went bad. We tried the inputs. I'm going to keep on talking and we'll pick it up from there.
Who's taking it away?
So threats and manipulation. Often it's very deceptive acts of manipulation to gain advantage with dishonesty. And unfortunately, fandom is not immune. We have issues where, oh, you better not say this or you'll take it down. Unfortunately, that happens so often, but really in my almost 30 years, oh, it's doing something. Wait, hang on. The trepidation, the anticipation.
Don't say anything.
Okay, so it's like stop that or do this or else. I like to call, what's up?
I have a really good thing I've heard online is that if someone says they're going to use a lawyer, they're not going to use a lawyer. Because if you use a lawyer, the lawyer will contact you.
Yeah,
You will
we're
get-
getting
you
there.
will get-
You will get noticed, yeah.
Well, that's what it is. Scare tactic.
And this is, you know, I hear a lot from bad actors and fandom. They're like, well, I got banned from such and such a convention. It's like, you will know when you get banned from a convention. You will get
Yes.
a lawyer, a legal letter from an actual lawyer.
Give this man some water.
Anyway, so yeah, I like the term LOL suit.
Nothing on?
I'm gonna try taking questions afterwards. I'll take, you had your hand up, I'll take your comment, but I'll take questions at the end of the show. But what do you have?
I just want to know, what does it take to actually get banned from a convention? Like,
I know
you
people.
don't want to know.
Thank you. We'll talk, we can talk about that later on. I've actually been involved with removing people with media credentials from a
The
convention.
convention doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's the hotel, like, if you want to get banned from the Delta will say, you are now criminal
It's
trespass.
it'll be Trespass Property Act 1990 Ontario law. So yeah.
TCC, they will, somebody with a badge from the TCC
Yeah.
will escort you from the premises.
Yeah. So getting into the threats and manipulation, anyone actually using tactics to try to dissuade you from speaking out. And I have a hilarious example of that happening, but it's commonly and hilariously incorrect, illogical, and has zero merit or credibility. When someone goes around saying, I'm going to get my lawyer on you, please get it, because I've never seen it in 30 years. In the 30 years I've been doing this stuff, I have not had any of experience of having happened. Because especially when you have screenshots of their own comments, it's really hilarious. But the fact they delve into doing that kind of stuff, it's really like a last ditch effort to try to do something to stop you. It's usually And it's usually trying to stop someone from speaking out on what people have done.
We should be getting this there.
Yes, we should be.
Let him cook.
You want to try HDMI 2?
This is going to be a really interesting video. Hi, Mom.
This is where the rubber meets the road, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you do a panel at a con.
All right, so I'm just going to...
You think this is all glamorous?
Anyway,
So, I have been working with the con since Wednesday morning at...
And we love you for it. Thank you.
God bless your soul.
These are the tech guys that make everything happen at this show.
All right.
This is the norm, don't be afraid.
Anyway,
One
so...
man will just act up and another man will just act normally.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we're going to go into personal attacks and hostility. And again, it's usually due to a lack of credibility or social skills or ethics. It doesn't pass the smell test, doesn't pass the mom test. You know, the mom test being, hey, would your mom like to read about this in the newspaper, or would you involve your mom with something to do with this? Would you ever do something like that and involve yourself in full-hearted with something like that? Ugh. It's really all about attacking the person and not the argument.
And ad hominem.
Yes, thank you very much. The old Latin phrase for attacking the person.
Let's go! You broke it! Wiggle a little bit.
That is exactly what,
So the HDMI is running into the sound bar,
Yes.
and from the sound bar into the television.
Yoda in high def, HDMI.
watch it, I shall.
Again, it's right there.
The sound bar was the problem.
Right. No, cable in the sound.
Well, a cable in the sound bar.
Survey says.
Diddly-ding-ding.
There you go. Thank you. High five, man. Thank you. We love you.
Yeah. No,
You can leave that here. It's fine.
all right.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
So don't touch anything next
Hell no. I'll touch a key. How's that? Can I-
Here's the fun bit.
Yo.
They turned off the speakers and the mixer in International A.
Oh no. Shoot them. Go ahead. You got my permission. That's a joke.
Oh no, I just yell and
I haven't been
don't-
in there yet this weekend, so it wasn't me.
Okay, we're running
I just
a
get
little
to
bit.
yell.
We're running a little bit late, and I apologize. Okay, so yeah, this is that GoFundMe that they ran. They were like saying we need $2,500. So they actually ran a GoFundMe saying we need money for an emergency that never existed. And then
For me, because we have Deadpool.
yeah, and Holiday Inn hasn't existed Holiday Inn did not exist when that date and time was for the show. That was never going to happen, even though the hotel canceled it. So it's just interesting how people try to get away with whatever when you just do a simple Google search to verify. Threats, manipulation. This is one of those very interesting things. This is a screenshot of 6 minutes after it was posted. There was an incident in my own backyard where someone decided that with no legal experience whatsoever, tried to pretend they had legal experience and flat out give out some really strange content saying that they had a legal team, which they never had, saying you better take this down or else our legal team's gonna go after you. Okay, so that's an example of the threats and manipulation. And this was immediately laughed at, and the comments that this was against are still up there. So it's been a little bit longer than 24 hours. Oh, by the way, it also demonstrates how you have no idea how our libel laws work in Ontario. We've got a what's called 6 weeks libel notice in Ontario. I like that little line on the bottom there. Nobody trashes a name like someone afraid will know the truth. So you'll notice how a lot of that personal attacks, it doesn't attack anything to do with the argument. They're just
I feel like what we're seeing these days, especially with social media, with Twitter being a nightmare shitstorm, you see a lot of fans, and most of what they post and most of what they do is attack other people and complain about other
Quote
people.
tweeting is the worst
Yeah.
thing ever created.
Talk
by
about, they don't talk about what they're supposedly a fan of. They're talking about, well, this group over here is bad, or this group over here is bad, and it's like, maybe you should relax and watch your darn movie.
eat some grapes and stop rage farming.
Just enjoy what you're supposedly a fan of.
Yeah, it's, unfortunately, there are people that just need to go out there and cause problems. And
Ratioing, what a joke.
questionable social media content. Why would they post that? Again, personal attacks and hostility. There's a lot of cross.
Well, I will say to this, never attribute to maliciousness what you can attribute to stupidity.
Hamlin's Law. Thank you very much.
People are dumb. People post dumb things.
Yeah.
I am no exception to this.
And Brandolini's Law, that Brandolini's Law says that the effort to fend off bullshit is far more than it takes far more effort than the actual bullshit itself.
It does.
Yeah, so again, questionable social media content. We can go, I had so many examples of stuff.
We're living in a sea of questionable social media content.
It's
It's all around us.
I want to warn people the next comment, this actually happened last month. This happened last month. Needed to show up here. I have removed this person from my life. I've met this person. People are running this show since 2013, and I have nothing more to do with these people. They were going all in. They were people who were involved in fandom, go to conventions, and they were also talking about equating drag shows with pedophilia and all that kind of crap. I'm like, yeah, the transgender activists raising the false flag, not feeling safe, leftist politicians ready to sound the alarm, new law that wants to find protesters, grown men dressing in women's clothing, performing sexual acts to minors. Yeah. Hello.
I don't know if anyone's following Ian's, the Twitter feed the last
Oh,
couple of days.
I have been, it's
Right-wing
visceral.
trolls is coming
It's
out of the
absolutely
woodwork.
vile. Dave here
Yeah.
actually called him out on that as well. Thank you. But again, this was
it's-
last month with people who I thought was someone I thought was a friend. Again, we have some stuff here. Yeah.
Of course it's Twitter.
Yeah. No, this was Facebook.
Same.
Yeah, this was the guy who runs a convention in we'll just say it's in Ontario, but talking about, hey, you know what? It's the middle of a pandemic. We're going to be safe. This event is not for lockdown cheerleaders. That was the organizers. Account for the actual event saying that. Yeah.
And this was 2020.
This is 2021. We're still in the pandemic. Why would you say that?
Now, I mean, everyone here, like, you know, we didn't have a show. Anime North didn't have a show in 2020. We didn't have a show in 2021. You didn't do it.
Nope.
2022, we came back. We had the vax mandate.
Yep.
We had the mask mandate, and if people, you know, we dealt with it. We got through it. This year we're not doing it. Some people are masking, some people aren't, but we're all good.
Yeah.
You know.
We respect each other. We also respect each other's others.
Anime
rights.
North was really worried, and I can speak from hearing from the admin about this. They were worried the show wasn't going to come back. You know, it's like a lot of money involved, and we managed. Like you guys put up with the nonsense, and you guys are the reason that we're able to continue having.
Thank
Anime
you.
North.
Yes. Again, I understand people want to make money, but you don't go around treating people like that. I'm not a lockdown cheerleader, and I respect
Well, you
it.
know, I like if he wants to tell people not to come to his event, then
Yeah.
by all means.
Yeah.
And is this person still running events?
I'm not going to comment on that, but theoretically, yes. But long story short, my mom was in hospital dying, and I couldn't visit her because of COVID restrictions. I'm definitely not a lockdown cheerleader, but unlike this person, I respect our health guidelines. So that person does not get my money anymore. A little bit more of the lighter side. This convention, it's hard to see, but what happened was this convention managed to have the local media. There's 4 local media outlets, and only one showed up. I know one other media outlet actually avoided the show. So instead, what they did is they took old articles and posted it as if it was new coverage of their show that the media avoided, that the actual news organizations avoided, to try to pass it off as current. And then what ended up happening is when people called it out, they were deleting and banning the comments. You know, so
That's not sketchy.
that's not sketchy at all. That's
Sketchy,
that's not a red flag at all, right? Well,
Sketchy.
something that's telling the truth being taken down, yeah,
That
that's
is an
not sketchy.
organization.
Flag
that
for hate speech.
they need a professional social media person.
Unfortunately, the same social media person was the same one sending the fake legal threats earlier.
Yeah, see, that is not professional.
No, that's an extra special amount. And this is kind of funny because I didn't bother blanking out the bottom because everything the only likes it has is the exact same person that runs that social media account, liking their own stuff and passing off as 6 organizations liking their own stuff as if it was you know, like a genuine interaction.
Sock puppets.
Very much so. Thank you. Spec Working For Exposure. Oh crap, we don't have the video. Crap, that's okay.
That's fine.
We'll make do. But long story short, you gotta use caution when you are the prize. When your efforts and your talents are considered the reward, you gotta be very careful about that.
How many people in here, in this room, have a job? You get paid by the hour. I mean, you can work it out, you get paid by the hour.
Yeah.
So if some jerk off shows up and says, I need you to write 500 words, or I need you to do a full color illustration for me, or I need you to do this, or build a website for me, you think, how long is this gonna take me? My time bills out to X amount an hour. That's my fee, thank you. If you're serious about it, you can pay.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Because your time is worth money.
Absolutely. It's not just on the personal level, when someone come up to you. In 2009, an executive from a major company approached me, saw my cosplay, and said, hey, can you show up to our event to promote our product? I'm like, great, how much you want to pay me?
Hey.
They were expecting me to drive a total of 5 hours, pay for my own parking, walk around sweating my you-know-what's off.
Nope.
And want me, we thought you'd just like to do it because you're here at a convention. They didn't want to come up with a figure, so I gave them a figure.
Do not be afraid, man, because sometimes they'll pay it.
And I tried. I said, I asked him, straight up, this is what I'm expecting, because by the way, I was supposed to take a work day off to go. But this was an executive from a major company pulling this stuff. So watch out for yourself.
I've had conventions that are like, Dave, we want you to come and do an anime hell at our show, and I'm like, well, you'd have to fly me out and give me a room and a per diem, and you probably won't do that. Oh no, we'll do it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The video was actually awesome. It's, long story short, we'd like to promote you. The company would like to promote you. Great. It's a whole lot more work, and you get a new title, but you can still receive the same amount of pay. Great. That'll look great on my resume when I start looking for new jobs. Bye.
Yeah.
I like to call it predatory promotion. The idea of, hey, we're going to promote you, and you're going to have this happen, but you're the one fielding all the cost. If it's all about cost balance analysis, cost benefit, if you're willing to do this, again, volunteering is wonderful. I absolutely love volunteering, and it's run by volunteers. I love how they organize it so that you can only work so many hours. So we're not going to let you work so many, there's a limit. Fabulous, wonderful, great. It's all
That tech guy, he's over the limit.
Yeah, I think he is. I was trying to get him to take a drink. Yeah. But there are some people that are hardcore. All right, cool. But again, they're not pushing you like some other places have. Here we go. This actually happened April of 21. Cosplay contest. If you were given a week's time to submit 2 videos, and if you win, they're going to use you in a product they're building. Yeah, within 24 hours, that entire contest disappeared. And going back, and it's kind of interesting how we have things that blend in together. When people spoke out about it, they didn't treat the actual issue. It was a lot of this. Oh, you're lying. You weren't having nothing to do with this. And,
you're just a hater.
You're just a hater. Well, show me exactly what I did wrong. Oh, by the way, check out this. This is me participating in this event a few months prior. Oh, silence, right? So you see how there's all that stuff that's all encapsulated there. By the way, if you want to grab your phone and take a picture of that stuff, by all means. I'm kind of happy how simple it came out. It looks like a women's warning sheet. All that toxic crap right there. But that was April 2021. They were doing a virtual show. To the credit of the organizer pulled all that down. And I hope the organizer has learned the lesson.
Don't mind me.
Okay.
Take a picture of this.
And I have hopes that the organizer has learned that this is not the good way to do things. Unfortunately, some of his people that was involved of engaging in the personal attacks, I guess they had some words on, trying to be a little bit smarter with their comments. Okay, getting on to groupthink and lack of oversight.
Tweet Tam.
Yeah, there's a whole lot. Wall of text. I'm sorry for the wall of text, but it's all in here. But there's a whole lot of us. We can't be wrong because we're all doing the same thing. We all have great intentions.
At popular.
Oh yes. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, because we all know how wonderful and accountable the Doug Ford of the government is. Oh, I'm sorry, was that allowed? I'm sorry, no politics, no politics, no politics. But just because a group of people put themselves in charge doesn't make it right. There was a serious incident that took place in 2008, which actually had its origins from years prior.
Financial crisis?
It wasn't a financial crisis, but this almost shut down the convention, and because a core group of people, 5 or 6 people, had decided that they're going to let themselves do some very illegal and dangerous things that brought in some cash, but doing something they should never be doing. If someone's putting the pieces together, that's great. We're not going to mention it. But it was a serious, serious thing. And when the balloon went up and when people found out exactly what was happening, they did the right thing. No, they didn't. They went with the personal attacks, the threats, the questionable social media content, going so far that the convention chairperson, while trying to answer, telling the truth of what happened, of course, was not the truth, had also admitted to committing that the organization had actually involved themselves in these illegal activities, admitting these illegal activities in the front page of their website. I wish I was kidding.
It was illegal, but we're not talking about child,
No. We're not talking about.
No one got killed.
And to their credit, it wasn't a criminal activity.
No one died.
No, fortunately,
It was just dumb.
It was very
dumb.
stupid. We talked about it. But
I feel like a lot of times when you get this group think, you get a convention, an organization that maybe have done something wrong, and when they come under criticism, this organization is like, well, look, we're just volunteers. We're busting our ass here. How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
But
unfortunately,
people get a little
really defensive.
Defensive.
But unfortunately, we're all bound by rules and laws, and I'll say it.
Just take a minute. Just take a minute and say, maybe we shouldn't be doing this at our group.
Okay, so long story short, I keep on saying that phrase. I'll spill it out. This convention was selling items that were considered controlled substances.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not going to be specific about what type of controlled substances. But it was under Ontario law, particularly the Liquor License Act and various other means. But they were selling stuff without doing things any legal whatsoever, and to boot, they had stated through internal documents and emails, which I still have saved, and I might write a book using this, saying, oh, everything's all taken care of, go ahead and help us out and do this work. Unfortunately, all of the stuff they were doing was illegal, and when the balloon went up, they started doing all those red flags, trying to cover themselves. 3 days before that convention, somehow the convention chair quit. That was the official word that was given out, that the chairperson who had admitted doing illegal activities quit. And for those who missed the conversation, people do get fired from conventions, and luckily this convention turned things around and had people came in, and the core group of people who were doing the wrong things and admitted going, hey, you know what, maybe you shouldn't be doing that, and even getting fired. There's like about 5 or 6 people that said, you're gone. Just consider yourself lucky that you're gone.
2008 was right around the time in which conventions, science fiction and fantasy conventions, started realizing we have to have a code of conduct, we have to have behavioral
That's
rules.
really big.
We have to have a way for people to report incidents that happen, both among the staff and among the attendees. And I think that we're going to get to it in the next slide, talking about cosplay is not consent.
Let's get there.
Boom, we got to do this. We got to keep moving. So we had a lot of issues of people getting harassed, people getting sexually harassed, people getting abused, people getting assaulted at conventions. And conventions, to their credit, have really kind of stepped up and said we need to be, first off, ethically we have to be aware this is going on. And secondly, we're going to get our butts sued from here to Sunday because we created an event in which people were getting assaulted. So that we need to have this not happen. And you'll notice we have public safety at Anime North.
Oh, I love this.
There are uniformed police on site too, and that's a requirement by the city.
Yeah, it's not. I absolutely love Anime North's commitment to safety. I'm very impressed. I come from a background of professionally as an investigator, as well as previously doing management and supervision work for security. So I've got the business continuity and disaster response stuff, and I also got the background of having been involved as public safety and security at conventions. I am thoroughly impressed and feel very safe at Anime North. I love what they've been doing. I love their straightforwardness and saying, you know what, this is what we're going to do. It. If you don't like it, maybe you shouldn't be here.
Anime North,
It's at the top.
the attendees at Anime North are super well behaved. Everybody is here for a good time. They're respectful of each other. They can go out till 2 o'clock in the morning, dancing their butts off in the parking lot, and everyone goes home.
Yeah.
Everyone gets out of there alive, you know.
But I want to get on a couple of topics here. You ever seen someone going, oh, can we just do that? Can we just do that? You ever have someone ever known someone to needle over and over and over again? I would like to think nagging ends when you're a teenager, or I hope. Unfortunately, there are people that just, no. Unfortunately, there are people that just try to just needle people. Hey, so if you see someone like that at the mature level, like a photographer doing something to try to get a young lady to perform in a certain way, okay, that's a huge red flag. And unfortunately, you can see that for yourself online. Of when that's a perfect example of cosplay photographers just going a little bit too far into trying to get a photograph, and unfortunately, that is the missing staircase that you can see for yourself online, and people talking about that. Don't be afraid. That no means no. I have actually called 911 should I feel threatened. I have actually had 2 stalking incidents in my lifetime. One of them at a convention. The other one was near my house, and that individual actually got dealt with the police. So. I'm a big guy. I can take care of myself. I have, let's say, above average abilities. I'll be the first person on the phone saying, hey, I'm at such and such place. I got this person that's keep on following me. Leave me alone. I've told this person, leave me alone. Don't be afraid. Dial 911. Especially here, like you said, at Anime North, we've got cops here. So the response time is going to be pretty short.
Anybody wearing a staff badge is going to be able to help
Absolutely.
you at this show.
Yeah.
We have public safety all over the place. There's offices here, offices there, offices there. I mean, you've seen the red shirts just getting you guys into these panels, you know?
So we actually covered everything I wanted to cover, but boundaries.
And I do want to point out that we've had problems at conventions, not just from other attendees. We've had problems at conventions from convention organizers. There are. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, home of DragonCon, and DragonCon was started by a guy named Ed Kramer, who's currently doing some hard time because he was a child molester.
True.
Yeah.
It's all true. And for years, the story was people would talk about Ed Kramer. Ed Kramer goes after little boys. Ed Kramer this, Ed Kramer that. And we're like, well, these are just rumors.
Yeah.
Let's not talk. Let's not spread rumors. Let's not, you know.
And then the police came.
Well, and then he got busted. Yeah.
Yeah.
And boy, did he fight that. He fought that. And DragonCon, to its credit, managed to extricate themselves from Ed Kramer.
That's really hard to do.
It was extremely difficult
and he did it.
for many years.
So not to sound all doom and gloom, this stuff unfortunately does happen. We're talking about stuff that's happened over decades here. Anime North is incredibly safe. It's a safe environment. I thoroughly enjoy it. I missed it so much. I'm back. Yay! But some people just don't understand boundaries. I want to share a story before we go to Q&A. We actually had, they talk about stalking incidents. I used to be on the security team for a convention, and this one particular year, we had a celebrity who wanted to come back to our convention, and the celebrity was a really awesome person. And then we have this media representative who goes around and does promotion for the celebrity and says when the celebrity's going to be showing up, and shows up at conventions and does the promotional work. The only problem is that this person did not work for the celebrity, and the celebrity wanted this person to stay away. This person was convinced in their mind that they were a celebrity representative, going so far as just literally just walking right through all the lines and trying to get right next to the celebrity as if they were one of the guest liaisons. But it just shows that that element does exist, where people will stalk and people will have it in their mind. I won't even try to understand
I've been in the meetings where we had to, and this was not here, this is another convention, but we had to basically boot someone off of staff because they were a weird, creepy stalker. And we had a face-to-face, here's what you're doing that's wrong, we're gonna give you an opportunity to maybe explain or at least speak in your own defense. And it was just this flat affect. He's like, he had no idea what he had been doing was crossing boundaries.
Yeah.
And that resulted in, as we said, a criminal trespass warning, so he's not allowed on the facility. If he shows up again, it's not even our problem. He's out of there, his cops get it. And we got a fake legal letter too.
Oh no!
He had a lawyer write a letter.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the
fake
worst.
cease and
Yeah.
desist?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to remember.
You can't keep my client out of your convention. The hell we can't.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes, we can.
Ontario law has what's called the press path. Really, there again, go there. There I go again. The Ontario Trespass to Property Act is a very powerful legislation. It's at the Ontario provincial level. It's very powerful, and if you get hit with it, believe it. So we're gonna
Guys,
have.
who here in this room has ever thought about starting their own convention? Yeah, people have, yeah. So lawyer up, kids.
Have
Get
counsel.
good legal advice.
Okay, so we're gonna
Also insurance.
Yo, and don't go and do a GoFundMe to try to get money for it. If you're not handling your insurance ahead of time, there's a red flag in and of itself. Questions, discussion.
Yeah.
Who's got something? Go for it.
Did you ever had to go to a convention where they had to deal with let's say a celebrity that was initially invited but had to reject because they had allegations afterwards?
Our conventions, no, I'm very familiar with who you're probably talking about.
It's always tricky.
An oldie but a goldie.
It's I think in guest relations, it's always like, if you have, and comes back to you running your convention, you're going to have a contract. That guest is going to have a contract.
Yep.
And there should be a clause in that contract that says, if you, the guest, perform in an incredibly stupid fashion,
Yeah.
we can withdraw our contract.
Yeah, there's always a legal, as long as it's done legally. I personally have not had that experience. I've always been the person who have to mop up the disasters afterwards, like inviting some really, disruptive people using the media credentials. They were actually banned from this convention as well, around 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And they ignored, the convention I was helping out at, ignored that reality and brought them in, and then found out, and then disinvited them, and they raised up a stank, and they showed up, and then our security team had to remove them. So, yeah, try not to flip-flop. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm staring right at you.
Sorry, so you mentioned that a lot of cases fraud, you can't play because it's under a certain amount and not really able to do anything, there's not necessarily consequences, you also don't want to name people. But that also means, I wonder what happens when you come in, do your thing, and you actively see people that you know have caused problems in the past, but you're in a position where like you can't really go around accusing them.
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to do this as well. At least we can raise the flag, say, look, watch for it's not so much the person and what the individuals or the organization has done. It's watching the scenarios come forward, and trying to enable people, empower people, and enable people with that information. It's a tough road to run.
I was always raised like, if you wouldn't say something to someone's face, you shouldn't. And there are ways to speak to people. You could say, Bob, I feel what you're doing here is not ethical or honest. You've got a bad track record with this. I love you. You're a wonderful person. You are terrible at this. Please stop doing this.
But I understand where you're getting, because it's hard.
It is difficult.
It's difficult because you don't have the actual document. But you could say, hey, is this you? Did you say this? Because I have proof from several different people saying you've done this. This is why we have some concerns.
A lot of times you're in your lane doing your thing, and you see someone over on the other side collapsing spectacularly, and it's like, do I need to involve myself in this? Can I just, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you see victims, people about to be victimized by this.
Speak up, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question about group organization sizes. Do you guys know, because one person can organize 5 people, one person can organize 10 people. I'm not talking from a convention size, but maybe a smaller event. How big before you really need to, can one person organize for 100, or is that a disaster? I'm just asking your experience.
You're talking about
more like
Like
the
the
question
table?
we've all
my
faced.
experience is where does it blow up?
Well. The general staff theory of military organization is a really useful,
Okay, I'll look that up, that's
like,
fine. That's all
yeah,
I
you know,
need.
And I'm gonna beat my head over the head with this one.
seriously. The key to running a convention is being able to delegate and being able to pick people and trust those people.
Yes, absolutely.
And you say, Bob, you're gonna run the dealer's room, go, you're it. Here's your budget, go. And do not nitpick what they do, don't question their decisions, don't follow behind them going, are you sure about this? Because if you don't trust those people, they shouldn't be in that position.
And to add to that, don't be afraid to say that you don't know the answer. There's so many people,
Yes.
like Brandon, like
Oh my God.
there's
Listen, this is
Go.
something we get at every Anime North staff meeting. They're like, if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know. Please say, I don't guess, just say, I don't know.
There's so many things have gone wrong by people saying, "Oh,
Yes,
this is how it
yes.
is." No,
Oh
it's
my
not. By the way, I work in this field. I have to know what I'm not allowed to do. If you do this, I'm walking away. I kind of how bad it gets.
People will come up to you when you run an event and tell you things about your own event,
Yeah,
as if it was gospel truth. And I'm like, I don't think that's true.
if you're ever trying to start a
tough.
convention, start with do a 1-day relaxicon.
If you've never thrown a big party, throw a party, get a barbecue.
Yes.
Invite 25 friends over, make sure everyone's fed and watered and it's a good time.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you might think about a 100-person deal.
Yeah, but don't be afraid to say that you're over your head. And it's
If you have never had 25 people over to your house and had to fix the toilet in the middle of the night, you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
run a con.
you had your hand up.
Oh, for the whole libel and,
Libel and slander. Libel is printed. Slander is spoken.
allegedly a magic word in that,
I'm sorry.
is allegedly a magic word for
No,
that?
not really. Again, it's all about.
Look, we're not
Again,
lawyers, man.
this is coming from. I have the legal background about this, and
We are
I've had
we are not lawyers.
No, I'm not a lawyer, but I've had firsthand experience, and I'll tell you straight up, the bar to bring a libel or a defamation suit is so high, it's incredible to actually. So, for example, if you're not going to go around calling someone some awful things unless you got some piece of information to back you up.
Allegedly. You can try it though. I mean,
You can
it's
try.
fun.
See,
It's a lot of fun.
Also higher if it's a celebrity, or is that just
Oh.
American?
Well, a public figure, yeah.
Canada has what's called has very strong what are called anti-SLAPP lawsuits, and SLAPP being strategic lawsuit against public participation. Wow, you screwy wabbit. Again,
I
anti-SLAPP.
wish I didn't know what that was. I wish I didn't know what SLAPP laws were and anti-SLAPP
Yeah.
laws were. Now I do. Thanks
Knowing-
to, since 2019, I know what those are.
And knowing is half the battle. And so Canada's got very strong anti-SLAPP laws. And I'll give you an example. CBC did a study claiming how Subway chicken was partially or mostly soy. And Subway immediately, it's a celebrity, okay, it's a business, okay, they immediately tried to get everything shut down and take them to get them to take down the story. Canadian courts are like, nope, let it go. But when you talk about stuff online, like I have censored the stuff that you saw, but you can look it up online and you'll probably find me being one of the authors of it. Here's exactly what happened. Here's my reasonable discussion about it, and here's all the extra stuff all about what really happened. And here's all. I had one person tell me that my posting of their screenshots was defamation. Okay.
Okay, so it's mostly just for the sake of the con that you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just out of respect, because it's also out of respect for those individuals as well, because they're not here to answer for what they had said.
Alright.
So again, we're not worried about. The purpose of this panel isn't to say, "Oh, watch out for so and so." It has nothing to do with that. We're talking about the situations, and then you'll see how a lot of them. When I talked about that situation in 2008, talking about this convention doing things they're not supposed to. Well, there was deception, questionable activities. There was even some manipulation and threats, personal attacks. Oh yeah.
We used all these to start this panel.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this guy can attest to it. I originally had about 17, 18 points, so thank
We
goodness we're
use
down to-
threats, we use manipulation, we
Yeah.
use questionable social media content,
But
we
you
use
see-
groupthink.
So a lot of this stuff actually blends together. So again, social media content, we're about 5 or 6 points. When you see a whole bunch of stuff happening together, those are really big flags. One flag in itself is pretty bad. A whole bunch of them together. And I want to bring up a point that I missed earlier. If you're seeing someone involved in hate groups, which an organizer for a convention was involved with, that's a huge red
It's a red
flag.
flag.
Literally, like, okay, why?
There's a swastika on it. That's
No,
the
well, this
flag.
wasn't, no,
Yeah, I
to
know.
their credit, it wasn't a swastika. They were involved, I don't know if you heard about this organization, this website. They were actively doxing sexual harassment victims. So if you see someone involved with that kind of stuff, running, and you're seeing them doing some stuff in fandom, that'd be a little bit of a red flag.
You know, it's all about developing, I think, you know, the bullshit detector, you know?
Thank you. Bullshit
You
detector.
can see someone, it's, again, we live in a social media environment. People are they're showing us who they are all the time, by what they say and what they do. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming out. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the con.
I know you got a lot.
Can I get